What if supporting small companies wasn't just for investors, but for all of us? Consumers, partners, creators, and communities. This is Alpha Wolf Impact. We're not here to argue politics or labels. We're here to lift up builders, small businesses, and innovators creating products and services that solve real problems, not just feed the next trend. We spotlight under-the-radar companies that fill a need, not just a want, create jobs and support families, make life a little safer, smarter, cleaner, or more environmentally friendly. Alpha Wolf Impact isn't just a stock-picking site. It's a movement. You can support these companies by how you buy, how you share, how you partner, and yes, sometimes how you invest. Together we help shrink the adoption curve for solutions that make the world just a little bit better. No matter who you are, where you come from, if you're tired of the divide and believe we win when we unite around solutions, you are in the right place. This is Alpha Wolf Impact. This content is educational and informational entertainment and reflects my opinion only. It is not financial advice. I own shares of this stock in my long-term IRA and may buy or sell at any time. This is not a paid-for promotion. This is not a recommendation to buy or sell a stock. You should seek the advice of a licensed professional before purchasing any security. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Capital coming at you with a follow-up to a story that I absolutely love and I have been following for a long time, and it has paid off uh,
Wow.
very well, very, very
You,
well.
you started following, I mean, you followed when I joined. We were $1 or some just below $1 when I joined, yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
sir. And I liked what I heard from you the first time we spoke, right? I mean, I felt as though if there anybody was going to turn the story around, it was going to be you, right?
Yeah. Appreciate it.
And you've surpassed uh, my expectations actually, right? So and I'm happy. I'm happy as hell for you. I'm happy for the shareholders that have stuck in the whole time, right? If they've been following the story, and I do have quite a few guys that have been in for a
Yeah.
long time, and they're very, very happy. Uh,
Good.
but some people that may start thinking, well, it has had a tremendous move, and I'm not going to not going to say it hasn't. It's had an amazing move, but I don't think it's done. That's my personal opinion, and of course, people are wanting to know what Sam Rubin thinks, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll gladly talk about the business. I'll gladly talk about strategy, what we have, where we're going. I'm not going to comment on share price ever.
Right,
Like
right,
that's not my job, and would be irresponsible of me to do that one way or another, right?
right.
I can say, momentum is continuing. We're continuing to grow. I think a lot of the people I spoke to assumed that the growth or the attention we're getting is purely because of the growth in backlog, and that it's assuming that we're just going to focus on executing that backlog. But that backlog grows; it's continuing to grow, and I think that's an indication for even more growth beyond what necessarily people were assuming or taking into account. So yeah, I'd say I talked last earnings call, I think, about the next step function, which hasn't come yet even. So our backlog continues to grow without that step function yet introduced in. I think when that comes, which I expect it to be September, October, November timeframe, probably, we might see another very significant growth. And you asked me where was I, what was I doing? I mean, it's not enough to book the orders; you actually need to deliver on them. So lot of
So
work, the team, and some incredible people that we have, but it's still a very, very tasking job to double a company once in 12 months and now double it again in 12 or maybe a bit more months, right? I mean, yeah, that's a lot of work.
right. One thing I can definitely say is, but you've always kind of been this way. Now that I think back, you've always
Yeah.
been, even in the midst of the storm,
Uh-huh.
you've always been kind of very calm, very
Yeah,
focused,
I
right?
I think I have a saying that at first, when I met my wife and I would tell her that every time there were problems in work or anything like that, it drove her mad. But my belief is that everything is going to work itself out eventually. It might not take as not be as short as you want, as quickly. It might cost you a bit more than you want, but everything has a solution. Nothing is unsolvable. So once you approach that and you look at that, and once you've been through a couple of things in life that were really disastrous and bad, you put things into perspective.
Puts everything in perspective, right?
Yeah, in my 6 years at LightPath, I've never lost sleep. I don't think I've ever come across anything that I thought like, oh my God, how on earth am I going to solve this? This is the end. Never. So,
It's funny because I'm going to share with everybody. I've never asked Sam this question, but I did just ask Sam this question before we hopped on, which was when he first took on the position, and then COVID hit, and then then he finds out that he's got embezzling going on from China. There was just a bunch of things that were happening all at once. That if you would have said, as the new incoming CEO, you know what, I didn't know all this stuff was going to be there. I'm out. I don't think anybody would have blamed you because it was
well,
shitstorm.
I would have blamed myself, but
Right?
who gives up? I mean, who gives up? I go to do what I get to go to do, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a difficult job, not because I'm not interested in the easy stuff.
Yeah. You stuck in, man. And I admire you for that, right? Because it was you knew it was going to be
Uh,
a long road to hoe.
You can probably blame my Israeli Navy training, where it all started there, where you just can't give up on anything. But I mean, look, everyone has setbacks. Everyone has things that don't work out exactly the way they want. But again, that's not enough of a reason to throw in the towel. Yeah.
Right. All right, look, as you people are watching this thing, my camera's doing all kinds of funky stuff. It doesn't really matter
Yeah,
what.
I was gonna say you either like sunbathed way too much, fell asleep in the sun again out in Vegas, or
Yeah, it's doing all kinds of funky stuff, but we don't care about that. We care about Sam and we care about LightPath. So that's not all that important. Um, so I did have several questions that have come in, Sam,
sure.
and I want to hit you with
Yeah.
one. This one literally just came in. And it's asking about the THAAD, the thermal system that I believe Lockheed Martin uses, right? Is it THAAD?
Lockheed Martin makes the THAAD missile, right? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So the question is, that's old geothermal technology, thermal imaging technology. Is there a chance that LightPath could build the camera to replace or to be used in the THAAD system?
yeah. Let me answer it this way without specifically talking about the THAAD, because I don't think
Okay.
customers ever want us to talk about specific programs unless they approved it, right?
Okay.
So last month, I think, right? We're still in June, so last month, May, Lockheed Martin announced that the NGSRI passed the guided flight tests with exceptional results, right? I think they even mentioned that it surpassed the performance of the missile with the cooled camera. So that's pretty exceptional, and saying I'm proud of the team is a understatement. This is a unbelievable achievement of theirs. But it also means now, and this is really what that whole team has been focused on now the last few months, is that our solution, our unique heat-seeking solution, which is significantly smaller and cheaper than the older technology of cooled cameras, is now, to be considered in every single heat seeker platform.
Okay.
It would be irresponsible of any player not to consider that kind of technology at this point. And we always said, or always, we probably for the last year or so, we said that we had a couple of other programs with Lockheed. So there's more than that. There's more than a couple of other programs. There's some larger ones and some longer range ones. NGSRI or Stinger, don't forget, it's a short range interceptor, right? So we're now, looking at others that are longer. We were just this week, we were at a meeting at the Army discussing low-cost interceptors and how our technology can be used in other platforms.
Okay.
So I'd say any new platform designed, and if any get redesigned, then they're very likely going to be considering our technology at least.
Right.
That's one aspect. The second aspect is you don't go and redesign something as significant as a FAD overnight. So the contract Lockheed announced is clearly for the same missiles they've been making, identical, expanding that production. Could there be a next version or a newer version that will work together with that one that will have newer technology in it? Absolutely, there could be, right? Then there's one more aspect to it, which isn't exactly what you asked about, but I would say, besides the camera, which is, obviously one product that we make, our glass and subsystems that are built out of the glass and so on are, a very big part of our business. And I would say that at this point, I would be extremely surprised if there is any new infrared imaging system being designed by anyone that isn't including Black Diamond in it in one way or another. I seriously doubt anyone does anything new now, new systems that are not using that. It's just, yeah. So
yeah, that was the thing I've been waiting for forever,
yeah.
right? I mean, it was like the
And that's
perfect
what
storm.
we always said we would get there. The ban on germanium simply accelerated it, right? But we were always very, very clear. Our play here is not waiting for germanium to not be available and that's it. Our play is we have a set of material, a portfolio of materials that improve performance of the systems significantly, right? What people didn't want is they didn't want to go and redesign anything, very naturally so, unless they had to, right? And no one redesigns something if they don't have to. So, so we were, so we were just limited to sort of only new platforms being worked on and designed. But what the ban on germanium did is simply accelerate that, right?
Right.
But once someone starts using Black Diamond, negative thermo-optic coefficient or thermo-optic coefficient of 0, or materials that can replace germanium but still be molded or made in other shapes and sizes, those are advantages that don't go away even if germanium is available.
Right. And then it just becomes almost a snowball effect, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was just a matter of getting us to the point that people are comfortable with it and want to use it. Once they do, the results speak for themselves. You just don't, yeah.
Right. All right. So let's talk about, I think after our last conversation, you did a cap raise, right?
I can't remember when was the last conversation we did, but we did like 2 cap raises in the last few
did you?
Yeah. So we did 3 weeks ago one.
Right.
And another one, but God, I lost track of time now. January, I think. We probably spoke after the January.
Yeah, I think we talked before. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the last one was a pretty decent sized cap raise.
Well, it was secondary and primary, right? So,
Yeah.
we sold, or the bankers sold 100 million worth in the market. Only 50 of it is new stock, really, right? So we had a shareholder, a very good shareholder, Northfront Capital, that really is the ones that joined us when it was time to do the G5 acquisition and has been an incredible partner to us and a very, very long-term oriented investor, right? But also held a very large position. They, after the G5 acquisition, they held about 20% of the company or so. And naturally, they wanted to cash out on some of it. And we were perfectly happy with that. I mean, more shares in the market, more float, more, we don't want everyone to hold everything just long term. That doesn't
Right.
help with liquidity. But we also don't want a large shareholder like that going out in the market and just selling, even though they were extremely responsible, even when they were selling in the market, it's still a very large amount and created an overhang. So the idea is let's use this opportunity and help them offload some of those in a much more structured, responsible way, in a good way. And also, let's add more to the balance sheet because the opportunities we're seeing are just unbelievable. And I'd rather have a bit more cash rather than keep going back for more every time. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Right. I mean, if you're that's often one of the mistakes that is made by small caps is they don't raise enough capital when they have the opportunity to raise capital at good terms, right?
Absolutely. And we have a very disciplined approach to M&A that has proven itself, I think, 3 times now exceptionally well. And we continue with that same approach, but we're seeing much more opportunities available now, and some of them bigger. So some of it is because the market has been waking up, and the defense industry altogether consumption is much higher, right? So companies just like LightPath is growing, other companies are growing, and some are becoming much more attractive to us now than they were maybe 2 or 3 years ago, simply
Right.
because of their growth tied into the market. But also because we've become a good enough name and successful enough that people are coming to us with opportunities that in the past maybe wouldn't even consider us because they would be like, yeah, this is too big for LightPath. When I joined, LightPath had a market cap of $20 million. We couldn't
Right.
even go and buy any one of those sizes, right? So even because they're considering, or they want to be part of the story. I mean, we're getting founders, owners coming to us now to offer sort of their business. They want to be part of this. They understand exactly what we created with the Black Diamond and other differentiators. And they understand that whatever they have will be highly more successful together with us.
Let me ask you this question. If right now we have a lot of turmoil, we have a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace when it comes to
Yeah.
war, right? If the world tomorrow starts singing "Kumbaya"
Yeah.
and there is no war, right?
Uh, I wish, yeah, but
I,
yeah.
I wish too, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's realistically, I mean,
Yeah.
but
But it,
but let's just play it out. What happens? What happens to LightPath's growth opportunities at that point?
oh, we're still, I mean, sure, some things will be a bit slowed down, you know, re restocking some weapon systems and things like that, might take a bit of a slower burner. Some newer platform, I'm pretty sure everyone will still develop new platforms. I mean, the two things driving, as I see it right now, the growth in defense. I'm not talking about ours, but defense altogether. One is a drastic shift in structure of platforms, driven by unmanned technology and what we're seeing and learning from Ukraine and Israel and other conflicts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So things are changing, and you don't go from one day investing everything in ships and submarines and planes that are worth each hundreds of millions of dollars to the next day doing drones without making large investments. So that's what we're seeing there, right? And then we're seeing also the restocking of things. I'm not even talking about like getting ready for war, just even getting back to a minimum of inventory needed, right?
Right.
Some of those platforms. Neither of those are going to go away if peace breaks out, right? And even though we all would love to see it. I mean, if I was in Poland and Putin would have said, "Okay, you know what? I changed my mind. I give up. I'm not going to attack you guys." It would say, "Okay, thank you. Yeah, I believe you. Yeah,
Right.
sure, I'll take your word for it. Yeah, I'll stop building my army. Yeah."
Right.
So, I don't see any of that going away. And the more interesting question, I think, is, 5, 10 years from now, okay, what does LightPath do that is other than just defense? And if you look at the historical LightPath, when I joined, it was doing 8% defense, right? 92% was non-defense, was commercial industrial. There are a lot of applications. There's a lot going on there. And the way our technological world works, at least in the optics, is, technologies diffuse from the military to civilian to industrial to thing and open those markets. So I'm not worried about that. There's
Right.
always going to be we don't view ourselves as a defense company first and foremost. We view ourselves as a optical technologies company that, right now our technologies are needed a lot in defense, but not only. We still have a huge, base of industrial imaging and industrial optics and so on. Yeah.
And there's often times where you do have something that gets invented for the defense industry, but then winds up becoming huge in
Absolutely.
the commercial.
Absolutely. I told just yesterday I was in Toronto meeting some investors, and I said to someone, other than heat-seeking missiles, which I can't find a dual use for those, every product we make has a dual use.
Right. Yeah,
That's the
there's
only
probably
one.
not.
Still haven't figured out how to use that in the commercial world. But everything else
Yeah,
has dual use.
that's funny. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Dual use, right? And what's so beautiful is the BD6. I mean, it's just getting started. In my head, it's
yeah.
just getting started,
Yeah, the
right?
Black Diamond. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah,
I
Black
stay
Diamond.
away from talking about BD6 alone. That's a historical thing. The company before we invested in that, it
Right,
was BD6, BD6. BD6 is one composition. It's a fairly commoditized one by itself. We're not the only ones
right,
that make it. That's a part of it, but that's not the real differentiator. It's a whole Black Diamond portfolio, the family of
right.
materials, which, now that we added amorphous also is nearly 20 materials altogether. So it's much more than, not a one pony show. Yeah.
And you've got, yeah, I mean, you were one of the first, Sam, way before it became trendy to bring manufacturing to the United States, right? I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah. That started from for different reasons almost altogether, right? I mean, it wasn't per se out of a desire to necessarily bring it to the US, but out of a desire to shift the focus and direction of the company, and it happened to be that the direction we were going required more US presence.
right.
And then it also became very popular and people are talking about it, so that helps. But yeah,
Which I mean, I love. I mean, I love.
yeah,
I love everything. I love a lot of things that are happening right now because I do think it just puts the country in a better
yeah.
position. So long term, right? All right. So is there if there is anything, what is it that Sam's worries about?
Scaling fast enough, delivering on that. I mean, the last backlog we reported was 110, 111 million, is continuing to grow since then. We're taking on a lot. We doubled in 12 months. We're on track to double again in 12 to 18 months, let's say, just to be safe. If we don't deliver on that, I mean, people are coming to us because they
Right.
feel we can provide them product when everyone else can't, right? But if we then fail to do that, if we're not able to scale fast enough or to do it fast enough, we can lose some of that momentum and credibility.
Right.
Uh,
I don't
that's
think
why, we haven't spoken in a while. I'm like, heads down, focusing on that.
yeah, I don't see that happening, Sam. There's just something that tells me you and your team are very
Well,
acutely
making sure it
aware.
doesn't happen, but if you ask me what could go wrong, that's just about the only things that could go wrong. I mean, in my view, I mean, world peace breaking out, I'll be happy if that happens, as like any person on earth. Yeah.
All right. If there's one thing that, for those that don't know the LightPath story, right?
Yeah.
If they're just now coming across LightPath and they see the chart and they say, "Oh man, this thing's already had its day."
Yeah.
I mean, if there is one thing you would want people to know when they think about LightPath, what would that one thing be?
Think of FLIR 10, 15 years ago, I would say. That's sort of what we're becoming, right? So, the problem with looking at charts is driven by history. You're looking at history and you're saying, okay, so that's that. The revenue rates we had when we were a component company are completely irrelevant to where we're going and not where we're going, what we are now already, right? So
Right,
one should be comparing and looking at us, in comparison to system level companies. FLIR is a really good example because, it's not that different in some of the technologies and what they did and the position. So, you need to think of that. We're a system company. We're just starting to grow. You're not even really seeing the full growth that we're, expecting to see. And we're established in it because we've anchored our internal vertically integrated supply chain at a time where everyone else is struggling with that. So we have, supply chain guarantee and unique exclusive technologies that drives that. So it's not just being at the right place at the right time, it's being at the right place at the right time with something that is really, really needed and having it exclusive.
right, right. It's funny. I was just having a conversation with somebody that was talking about, you sit in it when I'm in a company for a long period of time, years. Uh, it's funny how people, when they finally get the turn in the stock,
Yeah,
they are so eager to take the profit as
yeah,
opposed because it has such a big move, right? It's like,
yeah,
oh,
sure.
but if you look back at a stock when it's in a long-term trend
Yeah,
and you break that long-term trend, it is the most significant break that you can have. And if
yeah,
something was in a long-term trend for multiple years
sure.
and it's
Yeah,
now broken that,
right.
what makes you think that it's not going to be in that long-term trend the other way for
Yeah,
multiple
yeah,
years, right?
yeah, totally. Yeah.
Be patient. I'm not saying don't take anything off the table, but
No,
I am
no, sure.
saying
What really cracks me up is when someone says to me, either in a direct message or indirect to others, like, "Hey, stock hasn't gone up like in a few weeks. You should like have some big press release or something." It's like, really, are you here because you're expecting it all the time to keep going up? Then you might not be in the right business.
I mean, look, when a company turns, when you
Yeah,
think about what it takes to break a long-term trend, it requires something of equal force or greater force to
yeah.
break that momentum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you get that, it's the same thing to turn it around to make it go back down again, right? You now have that. You need
Yeah.
something of greater or equal force,
Mm-hmm.
and that means that trend can stay in play for a long time,
Yeah.
right? And you're not going to comment on that stock price, but I'm just saying, look, people,
I,
I
uh,
don't,
to support that, all I can say, this company is so completely different than what it was in the past
not
that
even a, yeah,
looking at any chart that is, you look back at a thing is sort of a bit irrelevant in terms from a pure business perspective. Yeah.
right. Let's talk about you have been acquisitive. Is
Yeah.
there, I mean, you just said that there are now
Oh, yes,
opportunities
we
in
have some great opportunities. We're just, we're maintaining our discipline, but we're not going to do acquisitions just for the sake of doing acquisitions and to say that we, keep growing our revenue or something. We have very, very specific approach to acquisitions and to what makes sense and what doesn't.
Right.
And we're seeing opportunities. We're also seeing that, um, you know, y- you've followed 5, 6 years now, and I always talked about one acquisition a year in order not to tax the organization. We can't, every acquisition we do gets integrated because that's the nature of the acquisitions we look for and are looking for. We generate value through that integration and through the accretive nature of those acquisitions, not by owning them, but by doing with them something different than what they were doing before we acquired them or alone.
Right.
And that takes effort on the operation and on the team. So our approach was one a year, and that's it. But since then, our team has grown a lot. We've added quite a bit. Our executive team has grown from 2 people, Al and myself, to 6 now. We're mid-level and such. With some of the acquisitions, we got a great bench and some
Right.
real players. So we could probably do more than one a year. So we did one in January, the office. It's gone very well. I think that integration is pretty much complete already by now. And we can probably look at one and maybe even more depending on what we find and what we see, right? It's
You've been very pleased with the integration of the new companies, right? I mean, they
extremely.
very,
Everyone
very pleased.
has been phenomenal, but I have a phenomenal team. I mean, I have a guy that is in charge of the M&A in my team who actually was the CEO of a company that LightPath acquired before I joined, even 10 years ago. So he knows what it is like from both sides of things. So, we have very, very specific plans when we go into an acquisition. We know exactly already why we're doing it and how we're going to execute on that. So, our due diligence is not to find out what the company is worth, if you would, or such. It is more to validate our assumptions going into this and make sure that we can really execute on it. And
So
to
one of
that
the things
extent,
I
we actually walked away from some due diligences because it didn't work out, even with an LOI in place and everything. So, that's a discipline that I think is extremely important. The
absolutely.
measure is not only how many successful acquisitions did you have, but did you have the discipline to walk away from opportunities that, were not going to pan out?
Yep. No, I mean that's absolutely true. And one of the things that I love about you is that you are like if you anybody listens to your earnings calls, you are very good at recognizing your team. I
Yeah.
I
Well,
love that.
nothing without them. Yeah.
Right. But some
Yeah,
don't, you know
sure.
what I mean? You do you go out of your way, and I think you should because, right? It. I would imagine the energy in your company is very
It's but this is why I could go away to Japan for 2.5 weeks and come back, and I had like 4 phone calls when I was in Japan, and I came back and everything is on track and going well. These are the guys doing the jobs. They're the ones doing it. I'm just enabling them. Yeah.
Sam. Is there? You feel as though I've missed anything to ask?
No, I think you cover us very well. You follow, a lot of people ask me about the space opportunities, the Golden Dome,
Oh yeah.
and it's enormous. It's a massive opportunity, but I just want to keep emphasizing, we're not going to be seeing any meaningful revenue from it for probably 2 years or so. So, there's a lot of announcement out there now, and just like your question about FAD, the FAD missiles and such, people sometimes, need to sometimes understand that by the time a program is announced or fully funded, the product is already designed, right? So it's already there, and the DOW is buying something real that they know exactly what they're buying. So, announcements now for the Golden Dome, for the first tranche satellites for missile detection and tracking, those were done and completed. We're now working on the next tranche and the tranche that will come after that. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm very happy for you. I mean, I can tell you're in a good place right now. I mean, you're in a really good place, right?
Yeah. Oh, and we're
I
enjoying
think
it.
I think we're going to continue to see good things come from LightPath this is just the beginning in my view, right?
I mean, we're going to be building a company with hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue, consistent with consistent strong growth, and a real baseline to it that is not just not opportunistic by the flavor of geopolitics right now, but is simply a major player in the world of optics.
And it could happen to a better company in my mind. I mean, you guys have stuck in. You had a strategy, you had a vision, and you have executed on that vision.
And to your point about the team, we have with us people that have been at the hardest of times. I mean, the 2001, 2021, 22 period. There were times we couldn't even spend $1 on capex, right? But people believe and do it and execute.
So this is the perfect example of the company that has what are the ripple effects of LightPath's success, right?
Yeah.
How many lives are you positively impacting by just growing the company?
So, you know what? One of my happiest moments recently was when a longtime employee, someone that has been with LightPath for, 10, 20 years, I can't remember, came to me and said that he just paid off his mortgage using stock options we gave him, when I just joined, because when I joined, I gave retention packages to key people.
Yeah.
That was like, I mean, full respect to everyone on Wall Street, retail investors, anyone that makes money from it. But when it's someone close to you and it's someone that has been putting day in, day out in the company for 15, 20 years, and he pays off his mortgage, I'm like, yeah, that's really
That's
belt. Yeah.
and that's exactly what it's more than just your portfolio. It's more than just having a good return on your portfolio. It's seeing a company that literally is having a positive impact on a lot of lives, right?
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
products do that.
Yep.
So, all right, Sam. Look, maybe
Hey.
the next one won't be as long as the break in between, but you got a lot of stuff going on, so you got to do that. You got to deal with this, right? When you have something,
I mean, this is all stakeholders are important, all shareholders and other stakeholders, but at the end of the day, we have to go beyond the short-term curiosity of knowing what is happening and let us do our work to create the long-term value. Yeah.
right, right. Maybe the next, if you do wind up doing another acquisition before the end of this year, maybe that'll be the time that we can do a follow-up.
Seems like a good time to talk. Yeah.
All right, Sam. Thank you
Okay.
for doing this, man.
Thank you.
All right, hold on a second. I'm going to shut this off. Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Capital. Today we had Sam Rubin of LightPath Technologies. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And while you're at it, make sure you smash the subscribe button. All of those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Capital, and we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Capital wishes you the very best of success.